That's what's going on over there.
So I've been watching you guys.
This system hates me.
I've been watching, and there are times that I have been watching you live. I just wasn't commenting, and there were times I'd watch the show after it posted the next day, and so I've been keeping up with you guys. I've been here.
Cool. By the way, folks, guys, if you see, you can see this system. It hates my camera. It hates my computer. It hates my audio. I can barely hear anything anyone says. I have no idea if you guys can hear me or not. Nothing.
Yeah, we're hearing you just fine, Michael.
Well, you're 5x5 by me.
Yeah, and I've got everybody 1x5. It's like I can barely hear anything, and it's completely messing up my background. So, I'm having problems with the system, but whatever. Just so you know, in case I drop off or I don't seem to react to something, I have no idea.
It'll be a learning curve. All right, first reaction.
No learning. I know the system. It just doesn't like my stuff.
All right. First reaction. Apparently, there's a young woman in Hollywood who's been made, I guess she's the current it girl, by the name of Sydney Sweeney. Yeah. She's the current it girl. She's a very attractive 20-something-year-old blonde with blue eyes, a nice figure, and all the rest of that stuff. And American Eagle Outfitters, the clothing brand, has decided to do sort of a throwback to the days when Brooke Shields was doing jean commercials. And instead of doing one of these all-inclusive, everybody type, things where, it's made to fit everybody and, this and everything else, they have her in an advertisement saying that she's got good jeans. Jeans. Jeans, like in dungarees. When was the last time you heard somebody say the word dungarees? So apparently she's wearing a pair of jeans that is very flattering on her. Like most articles of clothing that she wears is very flattering. She gets into a 1967 Ford Mustang GT350 and she drives away. Apparently, this is white supremacy.
That's one of the things they're saying.
Right. Yeah. It's white supremacy. It's fascism. It's Nazism. It's every ism you could think of, because she has good genes. Jeans. Are we collectively losing our minds in this country?
Yeah, we've been losing our minds for decades.
Are you surprised by this? Really? By the way, the people who are complaining about this are only the progressive left, feminists, and soy boys. That's it. The day they started protesting, American Eagle Outfitters, their stock skyrocketed. This has been the best thing they could possibly do. This is making Sydney Sweeney more popular and more in demand, and her next project's going to get her even more money because of this. It's making the jean company more money and more sales because a bunch of fat, ugly, unwanted feminists and far leftists are upset. Why? Because they don't see themselves in Sydney Sweeney. Too bad. Who cares? That's not the point. She's a model, like she's an actress and a model. She's doing what actors and models do. She's doing it well. She's doing it tastefully. And I got no problem with it. But they can't stop because they have to be miserable. They have to complain. They have to tell you that you are evil because you're not as miserable as they are every second of every day because feelings. So I'm not surprised.
Well, I'm gonna look and see, okay, what the gauge is actually going to be by two different measures. When American Eagle comes out and retracts the ad, and when she makes a mea culpa on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and all the rest of that, saying that she was wrong and insensitive creating such an ad. If they do that at this point, when America seems to have been taking a little bit more of a turn away from the whole DEI inclusionary politic, I think they're going to wind up hurting themselves. Yeah, they're going to shoot themselves in the foot.
Okay, American Eagle already came out with their apology, which was sorry, not sorry, and that's it. And she's not apologizing.
I saw something to that effect, but I'm not sure if that was from a satire site or not.
No. The company's saying sorry, not sorry. We're perfectly happy with the ad as it was. She's perfectly happy with this ad as it was. They're not backing down, and no one wants them to. The only people who want them to back down are the left and feminists who are upset with anything and everything.
Well, here's their online store. Okay. And you can see these are literally Sid's pick. Make her fave yours. Sydney Sweeney's picks. Okay. And if this was racially motivated, then why do they have so many ethnicities in this ad? You have Asian, you have black.
Let it be racially. Well, screw that. Let it be racially motivated. If they'd want nothing but white models, fine. Let them have white models. What's the problem?
Yeah,
I don't care. Let them have white models. I don't care.
But there is nothing racially motivated on this.
There isn't. But you know what? Let them have a page of nothing but blonde, blue-eyed white people. I don't care. And what? And someone else can have an entire page, and there are many pages, many rappers, many of their products are nothing but black African Americans or Africans from Africa, or there are whatever. Who cares? So what?
Well, just think back to that guy who shows up on Shark Tank. That guy who created the wine Fubu.
No idea.
Do you remember Fubu from the 90s?
I remember Fubu.
No.
Yeah, Fubu was an acronym that said for us, by us. And it was a black-owned company.
Okay.
And they geared all of their merchandising to the black community. Nobody had a problem with it.
That now. There's lots of companies that do that now. It's not a new thing. It's not an old thing. They've been doing it since the 1950s. I don't care. What's the big deal?
No, you don't care. I don't care. We're just commenting on the ridiculousness of it. Why should anybody care?
Then why should America care? Why should anyone in the world care? It's so insignificant, and that's the problem. We are giving airtime and we are giving credence to these feminist nut jobs and these liberal progressives, and we are validating their insanity by saying, "Oh, but it's okay." No, screw you guys. Who cares? They don't like it. Great, buy something else. Buy something else. You want to go and buy Bud Light? Go for it. Support Dylan Mulvaney. You want to support any of your crazed ideas? Go for it. But you know what? The majority of Americans don't, because we don't care about that. It's not important. And just ignore them. I know a lot of people have been talking about it over the last couple of days. A lot of people have been freaking out. It's a waste of time. It's useless. The answer is let them have it.
Dude, all I was trying to do was post a picture of Sydney Sweeney, and you freaking ruined it on me.
No, we can look at Sydney Sweeney all
I
day.
tried sharing it. It didn't work because Mike, I think, started sharing at the same time.
Oh, okay. I saw it.
Well, I don't know if I'm authorized to share or not.
Yeah, you are.
You could have.
You have share underneath you. You can.
Yeah, I know. I'm sharing, but I don't see the image on my screen.
Yeah, you could have kept her picture up while I was ranting.
There it is. There it is. It took a little bit of time. Yeah. So So if you got a problem with that, go see somebody.
They do have problems with that because
I'm just gonna
she's
leave.
not
I'm
fat,
just gonna leave.
she's not ugly, she's too white. There are people, and the people who have problems. This is why they go to therapy, affirmation therapy, but they go to therapy. Why? Because they're broken. People who have a problem with her wearing that and saying buy jeans, they're broken and they have a problem. They have a certain serious personal problem.
Well, I'm just going to leave that picture up for a few minutes. All right, I'll stop. I'll stop sharing. I was going to find a different picture to put up there, but that one was actually story appropriate. The one I was going to put up, not so much.
I mean, honestly, it's like Michael says, it shouldn't matter. Okay. However, a company wants to advertise their stuff, that's completely up to them. Okay. And based on their ads, they'll either gain customers or they'll lose customers. Okay. Plain and simple. So let the company do what they want. It shouldn't matter. And we shouldn't be reading all this stuff into something that's really pretty benign. Okay. They're trying to claim that it's a play on eugenics.
It is. It is. Genes. Get it. I get it. So what? She has good genes, as in her mom and dad gave her the best genes. That's why she's, attractive and a model and an actress. Good for her. I got great genes too. What's the problem? No, I'm not talking about blue jeans. I'm very fit for my age and I don't work out and I can eat anything I want and I don't take medications for anything. I got great genes too. Who cares? Who cares? These people are freaking out like, oh my God, she's got her genetics. She's talking about her genetics and that means America is fascist and the world's going to end. And next week we'll be on to something else. It means nothing. It is stupid. They are absolutely broken. Why are we wasting our time? Go ahead.
I'll tell you what it is. She's not trans. If she was trans, they'd all be behind her.
Well, yes, they would. Yeah. They would. If she was trans, they'd be like, she's the greatest thing ever since, sliced bread.
It's going to be rather interesting in about 100 years when people start looking back on this decade or in this era at the trans fad. Because that's all it is right now. It's a fad.
It won't take 100 years. It'll take 5.
Okay.
All right. Well, you know what I laugh about? 10 years ago, Atkins diets were the big thing. Right? Okay. Every friggin' restaurant in the country, coast to coast, reprinted their menus because it was the fad. They all wrote, every restaurant you went into said, this is Atkins friendly, that's Atkins friendly, this, that, and everything else. Gone just like the wind. About 10 years ago. Right. About 10 years ago, you had the movie called, maybe a little bit more, Under the Tuscan Sun. Nobody ever heard of the Tuscan region of Italy outside of Italians. Mm-hmm. But that movie came out. It was a big hit in the female classes. And every freaking restaurant that you went to all of a sudden had a Tuscan dish in it. Everything was Tuscany this, Tuscany that, Tuscany that. When Asiago cheese became popular, every restaurant had to have something featured Asiago cheese. You even the Subway sandwiches from the deli had to have Asiago cheese. Everything is like this weird fetish that people get involved in. They need that new thing to cling to. And that's what trans is right now. that's what the trans thing is. The problem, I think I might be able to speak for Jan a little bit on this. The problem that a lot of people have with the trans community is you have the LGB and then all the rest of the shit they added on to it. The LGB paid the price. The
LBG, and then you have the alphabet.
Right. The LGB paid the price. The LGB had the marches. The LGB pushed for the legislation. The LGB, swayed a lot of people. They did all the work and everything else. And when they finally got where they wanted to go, everybody else wanted to tack onto that flag. And the thing about somebody said it right, is that all the rest of the things, LGB are manifest physically. All the rest of these things manifest psychologically. So where LGB comes in and there's legitimacy behind it, all the rest of those movements are all psychological. And what they're trying to do is that, that the plus is a place marker for the next fad. And the next fad has already been identified as minor attracted people. Mm-hmm. So people in the LGB community, you got to really watch out, because they're going to be associated with now not with the most disgusting.
Already happened.
Yeah.
It's already happened to the trans movement. It's already happened to LGB.
Right. But that's where they got to start really having to do a whole hell of a lot of pushback. Now that seems to be a turning in America and people are starting to wake up to it, the LGBT community is really going to have to draw that line, separate themselves and say, hey, listen, you know what? This ain't our show. This is your show. This is something that's contrived. It's completely out there. It's something totally different. They got to push back on that. All of these groups that are all tying in with this stuff, every one of these things is psychological. It's all psychological. The whole left has gone from the difference between right and wrong to what's real and what's fake. And the only thing that the left seems to give a shit about anymore is the fake, is the psychological thing, how something makes you feel. That's what's important. Not what is, what isn't, or anything else. It's how it makes you feel. And they're going to cater to the lowest common denominator, and the weirder shit is, the more inclusive they're going to want it to be. And they can't stand it when you have companies start doing pushback, because they see they're losing market share. They don't like that. Okay. All right. Well, hello. Anybody say something?
No.
Well, I can say to that, I mean, you hit a lot of that on the nail on the head. Something that people who didn't grow up with the community the way I did, we did have trans back then. We were known when I first started with the movement. Yes, we were LGBT. By the time I left California, those last few years, we were LGBT. But the T part of our community is nowhere what they are today. They just, back then, like us, they just wanted to be seen like everybody else, have the rights like everybody else. And our biggest issue for LGBT was to get married. We didn't go out there. We didn't. It's like I tried to explain to somebody the other day on a post. They were talking about how demon we are. And it's like, no, you don't understand what it was like back then. We didn't have a Pride Month back then. We had a Pride weekend. That's all it was, 3 days. Now within our community, we celebrated for a week at our bars and functions, but it wasn't out in the community. We had 2 days where we were out. Huh?
I actually have a simple solution for this. Get government out of marriage.
Well, get government out of the damn committees. Get all this crap out of the NGOs and the people that back this and pour the money into that. That is what has ruined my community.
Get government out of marriages. You get government marriages, everybody's equal. Everybody can do whatever they want to do.
We've been talking about that, and that's something that's been going around since 2013. I know I ran on it. It was something I was running on when I ran for Congress in 2013. But that's really not the thing. It's a minor point. The real thing is that it's people are commercializing whatever is the most popular thing, the most marginalized group. They did this to the Black community. They've done it to the Hispanics. They've done it to women. They're doing it to LGB. Now they're doing it to trans. This is where we get the race traders. You get people like Ibram Kendi and the rest of those guys. These are just people who are trading on that lifestyle, that ideology, that fact, and they're just using it to grift and make money. And they're just going to keep pushing it. You can come up with any solution you want. It doesn't matter. It's the same thing with when you talk about race in America, as an example, with Ibram Kendi. He's out there putting out books talking about how everything is critical race theory. There's absolute racism. Black people can't succeed. Black people are failing everywhere. About 23% of Congress isn't white, which is bigger than the percentage in the nation. And you're looking at, Obama was black. Kamala was black, or some kind of black. She's a woman of color at the very least. We have multiple. Jasmine Crockett is black. You've got Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and AOC. We have people of color all over the place in our politics. We have them throughout all kinds of businesses. And yet it's never enough. That's the thing. For these people who are trading, they're hustling on these lifestyles, it's never enough because they always want a problem so that they can always make money. That's what it is. It's not the government. It's people who are hustling, and we're letting them.
Well, I think a lot of the LGBT who have broken off from our community, and we have our own community again, are ticked off even more because the QIA plus, what did they do to stand up for their rights? They did not a goddamn thing. They piggyback off of ours. Go out and fight for your own rights. We are tired of people piggybacking off of our hard work, what we fought for. And now we're being persecuted because all we wanted was to live our lives like everybody else and not be judged for it. And this movement has pushed us back to before 1970. Because people are sick of it. They're sick of it being shoved in their face. We're sick of it being shoved in everybody. We're sick of it being shoved in our face.
It's the hustlers that are doing. And that's the problem. That's because that always is the result with those individuals. We've seen it with race hustling for the last, 40 years, 50 years. It's the same thing. And everyone gets pissed off at it and they get annoyed with it. And then it becomes the norm so that people don't even pay attention to it anymore. People like Patrice Cullors are just in the background. She's just in the background and no one even thinks about her anymore. Meanwhile, she's got $90 million, buys 6 mansions. Her and her family live very, very well. She was just hustling everybody. It was just a hustle. None of that was real. None of it was true. BLM, she didn't care about BLM. She wanted to get rich. She did get rich and she moved on. That's what these hustles are about. And we'll see in another 10 years, 20 years, really 5 to 10 years, you're going to see all of these. They're going to be these hustlers. They're always going to exist. They're going to pop up twice every year with their latest outrage. Oh my God, there's this outrage because we're not getting everything that I could possibly want at any given moment, things that no one else in the world could ever get and they get in America more often than not. And they're going to go, oh my God, see, everyone in the world isn't giving me extra whatever it is that I want. And everyone will go, yeah, whatever. No one cares. They'll toss them $50,000, $100,000 in a grant to say, oh, how can we make things better? And they'll shut up. And then everyone will move on. That's what happens with Black culture now. That's Hispanic culture now. That's mostly women's culture now. And now it's going to be the LGB. It'll be the trans. They're the next ones that will be joined onto that bandwagon of that repeating, useless, but ever existing grift. Sad, but it's true.
Well, not to change the subject, but did you guys hear the news break that came out today?
Which one?
That Harris has decided she's not going to run for governor.
Like she had a choice. Yeah.
No, but they want you to think that it's her idea. Not that she ain't got the votes. She'll never win.
No, they're trying to make it sound like Kamala Harris is keeping her options open. She doesn't want to go into an elected office yet because she might want to run in 2028 or 2032. She's not quite sure which one. It's all about how much support she has. She has no support. No one gives a damn. No one likes her. No one ever wanted her. The Democrats threw her away when she ran, and then Biden got stuck with having to pick her because he had to pick a Black woman, and that's the only reason why she got picked. No one wanted her. No one cared about her. No one supported her. She lost because she's a miserable candidate with no message whatsoever, and she can't win. She can't win in the governor's race in California, let alone, God help her, trying to win in 2028 or 32. She's useless. Goodbye. Don't feel bad for her. Don't care. That's my opinion of her.
Well, just remember, all right. The woman raised $1.4 billion.
No, she did not.
In
Most
3
of that
months.
Most of that money came from...
Let me finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
And she wound up $20 million in debt. This was the woman who was supposed to fix our economy.
Okay. More than half that money wasn't...
You got to let the joke flow every now and then.
It's not a joke. It's the truth. It's more than half the money wasn't hers. Came from Biden. She got about $200 million, and she wound up $20 million in debt. She's
still $1.4 billion squandered in 3 months on a campaign that was a disaster from the beginning. Winds up $20 million in debt. We still don't even know if any of that money's been paid or collected or anything else like that. Or people still sending in invoices.
Yes.
Yeah. 20 million in debt, and she was supposed to fix our economy.
Because she's brilliant. Of course, she's a Democrat. She's always in debt. Democrats are always in debt. Look at New York, look at California, look at every Democratic state. They're always in debt. So
all you have to do is print more money.
That's what they think, modern monetary theory. But
I actually had somebody at work tell me yesterday, we're so far in debt, but we run the Fed. Why don't we just have the Fed print up enough money to pay off all the debt and leave us out of it? What? And I'm like, you want to spend $3 million on a loaf of bread? I said, it's called the Weimar Republic. Look it up.
This is obviously, I'm assuming, and I am sure, this is someone who's under the age of 30.
No.
Really? Someone older than 30?
By twice.
Really? Did they get drop kicked in the head?
I don't know, but I had to remind this person.
Actually, there's a lot of people that are Gen X that don't comprehend that.
They think that because we're no longer on the gold standard and because the US dollar is not backed by anything tangible, that it gives us free rein and allowance to do with the dollar what we want to, as far as printing it up and doing what we're doing. Do whatever we want with it. Well, if that's not the case, again, well, why not have everybody make a $10,000 an hour minimum wage? If money doesn't mean anything and you could just print it up out of thin air, it's
so they don't get the fact that over the last 4 years, all the money that the Fed printed and put us in the situation we are today, and they just want to print more money.
They didn't realize that people printed money.
The people don't associate with the money printing and the U.S. buying up of its own debt and all the rest of the stuff and quantitative easing and all of the different things that they throw into it. They don't see that as being the reason why gas is $2.89 a gallon, or why eggs skyrocketed to $12, or why they're making, if you looked at dollar per dollar economy wise, what you're making now, if you look back in 1975, what could be bought in 1975 could not possibly be bought today. They don't see that. They don't understand why it is the way it is, and they think that they can just print their way out of it because it doesn't mean anything. Well, if it's not backed by anything, then why can't we just make more of it? Why can't we just print more of it? They don't see that. These are the same people who don't understand the unfunded liabilities that our country is into, in the tune of $300 trillion in unfunded liabilities over the next 50 years. They don't see it. That we are our debt outpaces our income. They don't understand that. They can't seem to wrap their head around it. It's very complicated, and it's by design.
It's not that complicated. There is a level, a base level, which isn't complicated at all. You print money, it's inflationary. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. You print more money, it's inflationary. Every dollar you make makes the dollar worth less. It's just that that's the simplest way to explain it to people without getting deep into the math. If I have $1, it's worth $1. If I have $2, each dollar is worth 50 cents. It's just that simple. It's inflation. And that's the easiest way I've found to explain to people so that it makes sense to them. You got $1, it's worth $1. You got $2, it's worth 50 cents. There's $37 trillion. How much do you think the dollar is worth?
You know how I try to explain this to people? I try to explain it to them in baseball cards, because people can understand this rationality. 25 years ago, the most expensive baseball card in existence was Honus Wagner's baseball card. So it was a baseball card going back. It was one of the first ones ever produced, and there were only a couple of them known to exist. And the Honus Wagner baseball card, one of them that they had was in near mint condition, and the other one that they had was in very poor condition. The poor condition one sold at auction for well over $1 million, meaning that the one that was in mint condition had to be worth at least 10 times that much. Supply and demand. There were only two known to exist. So you said, well, if you owned both of those cards, what possible outcome could be? You have the mint condition one and you have the crappy one. If the crappy one's worth $1 million, imagine if there was no crappy one and you only had one mint condition card. You could set the price because that's the standard. That's right. The one that it's very rare. But what happened with Honus Wagner is that in the last 25 years, they've found over 100 mint condition Honus Wagner baseball cards. And the value of that once $10 million mint Honus Wagner baseball card, they're now fetching $100,000. Because when you outpace the supply versus the demand and you have so much more of something, the uniqueness and value of the one becomes greatly diminished. So when you have $1 that's worth $1, and that's your buying power, and everybody fights over that $1, it's worth something. But when you can print millions and billions more of them, it's not worth so much. And that's what causes prices to rise. That's what causes your buying power to drop, because you have now created something out of nothing, and it's not worth anything. It's only through scarcity and rarity and demand is something worth something to somebody. And if you convert that into financing, it has to be backed up by something. And like I said, going off the gold standard, that took all the rules out of financing. They could do whatever they wanted.
I like my answer better. $1 is worth $1. $2 is worth 50 cents. We have 37 trillion. I like that, man. It's so much easier. I don't know anything about baseball cards and values of baseball cards. You lost me on that. I didn't.
Well,
I don't.
I understand
the concept, but I don't know it.
Right. Well, the thing is, people don't understand monetary concepts, so you have to explain it something in a concept that they do understand.
$1 is $1. $2 is 50 cents. Everyone gets that. 37 trillion times. Now there's 37 trillion of them. How much is $1 worth? Nothing. That's inflation. But
so what happened with this shooting in New York that Hochul and your next mayor Kami is now calling for a national assault rifles ban?
Oh, you mean
the presumed white guy who shot up the NFL Blackstone building?
Yeah, a lot of people didn't hear about that. That CNN was saying at the same time that everyone had a photo that all the other news media were showing us, and I think CNN showed it as well, a photo of the guy walking into the building with a rifle, an M4 modified. And you could obviously and easily see he's black. And they're like, he's probably white. He's possibly white. They said it like 3 times on their program on CNN. They're like, he's probably white. No, he was a black guy. Always was. And obviously so. Not even like, kind of, sort of. No. He's absolutely black.
Well, but was he always a black guy, or did he just start identifying as one?
What's the difference?
Well, how dare we assume his race and gender?
He's dead. I can assume his race. Screw him. He's a dead maniac. I'm perfectly happy pissing him off. Let him rot in hell and burn. And he can turn an extra time, flip him over one extra time on the burger so that he can be pissed off because I'm assuming his gender and his race. I don't care. Let him rot in hell.
How dare you? How dare you?
That is me. I am the
spice. All right, so now have they determined some sort of a motive for this guy yet? We all know that this guy, yes, from what I understand, he was a stellar high school football star who went on to play professional football in Canada for the Canadian Football League. And in the building that he attacked is the NFL, is in that building.
Yeah,
along
Blackstone building. Yes,
Blackstone Financial, and one of the persons killed was some vice president in charge of real estate transactions or something like that for Blackstone.
Yes.
Do we know what have they released his manifesto to the world yet?
They have not released the manifesto, but this is what we know so far. So you have psychotic nut job who's on medications, and
almost white guy,
possibly a white guy, in fact black, but possibly white. And he goes and he worked as a private investigator. He had a concealed carry permit, so he can't be completely insane when he's on his meds because he got licensed. Anyway, so this guy says that he believed he had a CTE, concussion, from his time in football, which would have been diagnosed years ago. And because that's an aggression against him, a microaggression, quite literally. And the culture now is free Luigi. Go, and it's not your fault your life sucks and that you made decisions and you got hurt and life didn't go the way you wanted it to. So because of that, the free Luigi movement, he decided I have to go and kill people in the NFL because his life didn't go well. That his life wasn't perfect. That he didn't live the multi-million-dollar dream and he's got injuries. So he went into the Blackstone building and decided he was going to go to the NFL, their headquarters, and kill them, kill himself. He knew he was going to die. He was planning suicide. It seems he took the wrong elevator, so it didn't get him to the right floor. When he got off, that's when he killed some of the Blackstone executives. Then he got onto the right elevator, went up to the NFL, and then killed himself. Because I guess he liked the view. He was on the 33rd floor. Oh, look, what a great view. Perfect time to kill myself. Self-delete. Bang, gone. Okay. He should have just self-deleted in the first place and just save everyone the trouble and save everyone's life. But, he didn't do that. So that's his motivation. It really breaks down to, and the people we should be upset with right now, obviously, it's the maniacal shooter themselves. According to Kathy Hochul, you have to be absolutely angry at the M4 rifle that he used, the semi-automatic rifle, because it's somehow alive and has a soul. It has, it can move on its own. It can make decisions on its own. Apparently, according to Kathy Hochul, this is, it's alive. She's stupid because it's not, and none of that's true. But that's what Kathy Hochul says. So, other than Hochul, who's just stupid, doesn't know what she's talking about, you should be blaming the Free Luigi movement, all the people who were cheering for someone to kill executives because they're upset with their own life. That's part of the reason why this happened, is because of that motivation. You should be upset with the single party rule of New York State because they denied people. They made it illegal, a felony, to own a bulletproof vest. They made it illegal for you and me and women to just defend themselves by owning a firearm easily just because it's your Second Amendment right. So they put all the barricades in your way, all the financial hurdles in your way so that you can't protect yourself. So that when someone crazed like this comes in and decides that they're going to get to your floor, what you saw some of the video, people were taking all of their chairs and all of their desks, and they were putting it in front of a conference room wall, a door, to try and protect themselves. And the only thing I could think of at that moment is the bullet will go right through that. The bullet will go through the glass. It'll go through the couch. It'll go through the desktop, and it'll shoot you. So you're not doing anything. You're not saving yourselves. You haven't protected yourself. You haven't stopped this maniac, because he doesn't have to be in the room with you. He can just shoot through the glass, shoot through the couch, and still be able to harm you just as much as if he was in the room. It's useless. But if you had the Second Amendment, people could be able to defend themselves. Maybe the police officer would have been able to wear a bulletproof vest when they're not on duty, and they'd be able to save their life. Maybe some of the executives would wear a bulletproof vest. They would save their lives. This is partially because of the New York State legislature. Democrats control for the last 60 years, 6 decades of Democrat rule. That's why this happened. It's because of the Free Luigi movement. That's why this happened. It's because we have media and educational systems that are saying that you deserve a wonderful, beautiful, perfect life. And if you don't get it, it's someone else's fault. And you have the right to attack them for you not having a perfect life. That's also part of the reason. I absolutely don't blame the gun. I don't blame the manufacturer of the firearms. I don't blame the people who sold him the firearm. I don't blame the people who sold him the ammunition. They're not at fault. There's a long list of people who are at fault. The people who made the firearm, who sold him the firearm, who sold him the ammunition, they're not part of it. That's what I truly believe. But that's my opinion. Go ahead, guys. That's what's happening with New York right now.
The only one that's truly responsible is the person that pulled the trigger.
He's the ultimate person responsible. Ultimately, of course, because he's a psychopath. He's the murderous, vile wretch that he was. And he can only die once, sadly. So, yes, he is ultimately. But there are the other contributing factors, which the media has to find. It has to be someone else. He's black. There had to be someone else. They have to justify this. They have to find a way to justify it, a way to push off the blame. It can't just be, well, he was black and a nut job. No. It has to be someone's fault. Okay, it's the politicians in New York State. That's who's the fault. It's the colleges that. Go ahead. I thought you guys want to say something.
No, I didn't say anything.
Does anyone disagree with me? Jan, Frank?
Oh, I just laugh at how this, I think, was record-setting and how quickly they came out and blamed the gun. This was one of the fastest gun-blaming situations that I've ever seen, and probably because right across the street from the building is a sign on the lamppost that says this is a gun-free zone. On the door of the building, it says gun-free zone. Everywhere around there is a gun-free zone. Obviously, they just didn't have enough signs.
No.
They needed more signs. So if the fault lies with anybody, it's with the sign manufacturer for not printing enough signs that say gun-free zone. And along that with the sign that says the do not murder people sign. Because apparently there were none of those, so he didn't know any better. But the record time that they come out and blame the gun is one of the fastest turnaround times I think I've seen in recent years. And it's interesting because if you contrast that with the story that happened just 3 days earlier,
Derek Perry on Sunday in Michigan.
You had a lunatic out there stabbing 11 different people, and here's this former United States Marine who was on his way home from the firing range, didn't bother taking his gun off his hip when he was at the firing range. He kept it on his hip. He's also a concealed carry holder, so it wasn't a problem. He managed to stop the guy from stabbing people. What's the guy's name? Derek Perry?
Derek Perry, yes. All
right. A personal word to Derek Perry. Derek, thank you. I think I can speak for most every sane, rational person that's out there. Thank you for manning up, stepping up to the plate, and doing what you needed to do. However, you and I are going to have to go to the range and work on that grip.
Oh, the sideways grip?
No, not the sideways grip. I don't mind so much. Okay, what I mind is the thumb over the top of the slide in the ejection port, rendering the gun non-functional. That's the part that bothers me. If you look at the still photos of it, he has the gun in his hand sideways, and instead of having a proper thumb over thumb grip along the driver's side of the gun, he's got his hand placed with what we call thumb over bore, like you do with rifles in competition. Guys will put their thumb over the bore of the rifle to better control the upward trajectory of the recoil. He has his thumb over the slide of the gun, right on the ejection port. If you hold the gun like that, if it goes, you'll get one round out of it. But the gun's not going to cycle. And if it does cycle, it's gonna stovepipe, it's gonna short stroke it, it's gonna fail you to extract, fail you to feed, fail you to fire. You ain't gonna get any more shots out of it if you do that way. So Derek, if you want to swing up or down into North Carolina, you and I will spend the weekend at the range doing a complete training system for you so that the next time, God forbid, this should ever happen to you, not only will I know you'll be able to react, but you'll be able to react properly if in the event that you need to squeeze that trigger. Which I'm honest to God very surprised that he didn't. If there was ever a case where you could justifiably drop somebody in the street, it's a guy running around with a knife after he just stabbed 11 people.
I think it's because when he told the guy drop the knife, the guy dropped the knife.
Well, he kept backing up. He kept backing up. There was no.
He backed up, but he did drop the knife.
Well, maybe after a few.
Again, there may be other videos where it's going on longer.
Yeah, it was a little. Yeah, it was a little bit longer. The guy Derek would have been just completely because remember, as a civilian, you are not required to demand somebody disarm for you to defend somebody else, whether it be yourself or someone else. You see, if you believe that somebody's life is under threat, well, your life is under threat. You can take immediate action. You are not a law enforcement officer. You don't have to tell somebody drop that or I'll shoot. You don't have to. Is it good judgment to do so? Yes, it is, because what you want to do is you want to call attention to the situation so that eyewitnesses will be able to testify in your defense later on that you told somebody to drop it. Witnesses now see that person has a weapon, see you have no alternative, you react accordingly, use deadly physical force, put an end to the threat. That's the chain of events. Are you required to tell somebody drop it? If you're in an alleyway and a guy's 25 feet away from you, come running at you with a knife, and you draw your firearm and fire, you have no legal authority or responsibility at all to tell that person that they have to disarm themselves. You defend yourself. Some states have this ridiculous requirement that says that your first responsibility is to retreat.
That's New York, California, a couple of others.
Right. Well, if you are not in a position to retreat, if somebody else is causing harm to somebody else, you have somebody beating somebody to death with a baseball bat, and you tell them to stop, and they keep hitting them with the baseball bat, and they're cracking them in the head, you know it's obvious they're intending to kill that person. How do you retreat? You're not the person whose life is in immediate danger at that moment. Why would you need to retreat when the threat isn't at you? But you have a responsibility to protect another life, and that's the person getting beat. So how do you retreat from something that's not a threat to you? If you use the physical force, you're completely justified. But did you retreat? Retreat from what? He wasn't beating me up. He was trying to kill the other guy.
Yeah, but and I'm not going to. I know the argument that the left will use, the anti-Second Amendment personalities. They have an answer for this, and the answer is you're not supposed to be you aren't the one to get involved. You get some law enforcement. You get law enforcement to step in and say, and that means that someone dies. But
so we wait 11 to 14 minutes for law enforcement to show up and draw the chalk outline. Now we look at that situation that happened. Let's look at what happened to that situation outside that nightclub the other night, when that couple was brutally beaten nearly to death outside. Okay, in what I assume is a racially motivated attack, because it was clear they were the only two Caucasians being attacked by a group of African Americans. Right. Well, there was three there, but only two were the ones that suffered major injury. But when you have somebody laying on the ground face down and you are going over there stomping on the back of their head with your foot, you are intending to kill that person. Okay, there is no way to look at that other than to say, I mean, let's go back 25 years ago. Do you remember the Karate Killer? The guy that got arrested because he kicked somebody and it killed him, and he went to jail for it. because the prosecution said, well, the foot is a dangerous and deadly weapon when in that position. Well, when somebody's head is on the ground and you have a guy who, I'm looking at the video, the one guy in that video appears to be over 6 foot tall, at least 240 pounds, stomping on another man's head. That is attempted murder. If somebody in the crowd had pulled a firearm and said, stop, and the guy winds up his foot to do another curb stomp on him, and the guy drops him, he's completely and totally legitimate in order for him to do that.
The left would have a problem with that because
Of course they would.
with that. And you don't have to go back 20 or 30 years. You can just go back to 2020 and 2021, Houston, Austin. This was the BLM riots. The very same things happened. The very same thing we saw this weekend was exactly what was happening on a regular basis at the autonomous zones that were across this country. That was in Austin, that was in Boulder, Colorado, that was in Seattle, it was in Portland, it was in LA, Brooklyn, and there's more. I can keep going. There was about 20 autonomous zones, Atlanta, 20 autonomous zones across Indianapolis, across the entire United States. So Minneapolis, yet another one. So yeah, it's easy. And this happened every time in all of those locations. It is an attempt at murder. It is violent crime. And yes, people should be able to defend themselves from that. But again, coming back to New York, looking at California, looking at the left, they don't believe you have the right to do that. They would rather see people die than be able to defend themselves. Right. That's why they make it illegal to own a bulletproof vest and firearms. Go on.
That's why I would wonder if when Nancy Pelosi's husband was getting beaten about the head but with a hammer, if rather than the police showing up at the door, it was a concerned neighbor that showed up and said, "Hey, Paul, are you okay in there?" And then sees somebody beating him with a hammer. If the neighbor would have taken the guy out, you know, would her position be any bit different? I don't understand what the obsession with the left is over letting innocent people die.
Because that you cannot assume authority that is held by the government for yourself.
But who isn't right? And that's what the left doesn't understand.
We got to ask
right, and that's what the left doesn't understand. We hire government officials in order to do the policing, but we are the boss. So if I want to go over my employee's head and take care of the job myself, because I happen to be there and happen to be there in a timely fashion before my employee gets there to do the job, I'm just cutting out the middleman.
What do you think, Dan?
I don't.
I'm sorry.
I'm just. It's true. Now there have been people in this country that have been charged and gone to prison for violating bystander laws, where they saw something happening and failed to act for it. So you have some laws on the book that say if you don't help somebody, you're in trouble, and then you get the leftists out there that say if you do save somebody, you're in trouble. Yeah, maybe if the people on the left were more on the receiving end of those curb stomps, they might have a different opinion. But then again, I don't know if that would make them more or less brain dead than they already are.
Dal, jump in. Jan, Mike.
Look, hey, Dal, do me a favor if you can. Can you turn your camera or your computer 5 degrees to the left or the right? Your ceiling fixture is blacking out your whole head. Yeah, because what it looks like you have an aura around you, like you get the sun standing behind you.
It's just me being St. Nicholas, you know.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, listen. Now that you're here, I'm glad you're here because I'm going to cut out of here because as Michael and I were discussing before we went online, I'm dealing with some food poisoning and I'm really nauseous.
I was going to offer you a meatball sub, but I guess But you're
I,
out.
I'm not gonna besmirch the name of the place that we ate last night because the food was really excellent, and I really don't know if it was that or something else I ate. But I have been praying to the porcelain throne since 4 o'clock this morning with some regularity. Every 2 hours, I got to go throw up. So it's not good. Jan, love you, sweetheart. It's good to see you.
Love you too, babe.
Vass, Marshall, catch you guys later. Dal, love the haircut, buddy.
Thank you.
Take care, Frank.
Good night, everybody.
Well, I got another subject we can talk about.
Okay.
Did you see Powell came out today and said he would not lower interest rates yet again?
Oh,
Yeah, but
Powell. Okay.
Powell did that, but they're also talking about now taking that legislating money from the tariffs and giving a stimulus check of $600 to American families.
That's Hawley. It's not Powell who said that. That's
No, I know. But this is the problem. The government is sitting there manipulating money and weaponizing the economy to try and sabotage the Trump administration. They need to be gone. They need to knock this off. We can't be spending money when we don't have it because it's in culmination of the debt. They need to pay down the debt first and stop spending.
Well, I've seen a lot of people. There was a couple different articles I saw on that today, and there were people actually responding on that. Don't send the money. Pay down the debt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the majority of people in America want free money, and
Well,
that's free money.
That's it.
How can you take away my free money? You don't stop being an evil Republican. Give me free money.
Thing is it's not really our money, is it?
Doesn't matter. We're talking about financially illiterate people. They
Oh, I
are
know.
financially stupid.
See, this is where the media would be really good at doing their jobs if they would actually legitimately frame it the proper way and tell people, hey, all this investment that's coming in, that's not your money. That's basically helping the country operate and pay down the debt. That's it. That's all you need to say.
They're not going to do that because that makes AOC look bad. It makes Bernie Sanders look bad. It makes Jasmine Crockett look bad. It makes Democrats look bad. They're not going to say that.
But Trump wasn't supposed to be successful with these tariffs.
Yeah,
He was
right.
supposed to rip the country apart.
That is what they said to everyone in April, and they were wrong. And who was saying in April, who was saying in March that they had no idea what they're talking about, and this is a great idea? Hello, here it is. I got the videos to prove it. I was the first one saying they have no idea what they're talking about. And now you got Bill Maher, who once again has come out and said, like he did in 2019, that he wants a recession to hurt Trump, has come out again in 2025 and said he wants a recession to hurt Trump's politics, which means that you and I and the public have to live through a recession, and we're not millionaires like Bill Maher. So screw you, Bill Maher, yet again. But Bill Maher just admitted that he was completely wrong, like most of the economists, because they don't know what the hell they're talking about, because they're looking at it from politics, not looking at it from an economic point of view, including Paul Krugman, who doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. I don't care if he has a degree. He has no idea what he's talking about.
And getting back to the original thing, why yet again is the Fed refusing to drop interest rates when some things are starting to improve, and it would help more to drop the dang interest rates?
Yes, because it would help small businesses grow. Small businesses would grow and people would be able to get jobs. But what he wants, real quick, is we know there's going to be unemployment because people got fired from the government. The size of the government is shrinking. So there will be unemployment. If they were to lower interest rates, small businesses would be able to get loans. They'd expand their businesses, and they'd be able to hire some of these people into jobs. That would be good for Trump. It would be good for the economy. It would look good in the world. They hate Trump. They don't want anything to be good with Trump. So rather than lower the interest rates, that would be good for the country. They'll keep them at the same level because they can't increase it because that would be obvious. So they keep it the same level so that long term they screw up the plan that I just described. That's why it's going the way it is. They just want to screw Trump, which means screw you. Does anyone disagree with me on this? Does that not make sense? It's because it is that simple. Go ahead.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you don't want they're hoping to get the sound bites and the optics that will allow them to somehow drive a wedge in the base and cause Trump to lose support at the federal level. If they can knock him off, they can do damage to the populist movement. And then anything that happens after that, they're going to be able to continue to hold on to power. People are recognizing it, but I don't know that they're waking up fast enough.
I don't think most people notice it. I don't think most people understand at all. Literally, I don't think most get past free money. Go ahead, Jen.
I think that more people are waking up because there is more pushback. I see in a lot of comments from people who say that they are Democrat and have been Democrats for years and that they do not support what's happened over the last 10 years. And they see how it's continually getting worse and worse. The Democrats keep playing the same card over and over and over again. They haven't learned. And people on the left are starting to see it. I mean, there's already predictions that they're not going to win in 26, even though the Democrats will tell you they're going to win in 26. There's a lot of things that are pointing that no, they're not, because again, after the presidential election and everybody getting voted back in and everything, they're still going on with the same rhetoric.
They have nothing else to offer.
Progressive policies, Trump, orange man bad, MAGA Nazis. I mean, everybody's sick of it.
Sweeney's a Nazi, Trump's a Nazi, MAGA's a Nazi. Of course, they don't have anything else. Notice, there's nothing of substance here. There's nothing of substance. We started off with Sydney Sweeney. There's no argument of substance against her. Just a feeling. There's no argument of substance against the tariffs because they have been working. They have no argument because they've been proven wrong, but they have a feeling. Looking at what's happening with the guns and the gun control, they're trying to say, oh my God, it's the guns' fault because they have a feeling and they don't want to deal with the truth. Democrats, the progressive left, they have nothing but feelings. And those feelings are miserable and frustrated because everything in their worldview is decrepit and decaying and failing, and no one wants it. And they are alone. And Democrats don't know how to offer anything else because they've never offered anything. They demand. They say, obey. And they expect you to obey. That's why they're losing they got 33% approval rate, lowest ratings in the last 30 years. This is why they're probably, statistically, they're supposed to win in 2026. They're supposed to pull off like 2-3 seats in the House. And they're supposed to win statistically. They have thrown that under a bus because they have nothing except feelings. And all of their feelings are vile and ugly and evil and negative. And nobody wants that. And we shouldn't want that.
Well, they're acting like spoiled children is what they're doing. I mean, you know, the Senate Democrats are doing their walkout, you know, because they don't agree with this, you know, going on over here. And one of the articles I really laughed at this week was how Democrats are up there crying because the big, beautiful bill passed, and now all the immigrants are going to be taken off of Medicaid. Well, wait a minute. You've been telling us for 4 years that the immigrants weren't on Medicaid.
Yeah.
Well, you know what they're going to do now is because they have no argument to put forward, they're going to use whatever capital they have left, and they're going to try and get non-elected corporations that are in their camp to try and silence the message. Did you see what's going to be happening in August on the 13th with YouTube?
Yeah, I saw that today.
Yeah.
No.
So basically, it's going to be everything is age restricted unless you give them your face. So you have to verify your face, and you have to give them a verifiable ID.
Wait a minute. That's the British law. That's the British Online Safety Act.
Yes, but YouTube is doing it in America on August 13th.
Wait a minute. They're taking the British law and they're imposing it in America.
And they're making it part of their TOS, and they're utilizing the British law as the basis for the TOS.
That doesn't work.
Service.
Well, yeah, but here's the problem with that. America has a First Amendment. England doesn't. Two different countries, two different absolutely fundamental basic building blocks of law. England isn't free. U.S. is, or at least relative to England, we're free. We have freedom of speech. England doesn't.
But that's not how it's working, Mike. And like you like to point out, the reality of the situation is that the corporations are going to take what capital they have in the camp, and they're going to try and impose these regulations on Americans while we're not looking.
Okay, so they're going to say that unless you give up your privacy, so give up your Third Amendment rights so that you can gain limited First Amendment rights online.
Fourth Amendment rights.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, Third Amendment's
I know.
Fourth Amendment and
sheltering of troops.
Yeah. Well, if you're bringing in YouTube to your home now after something like this, then you are basically quartering the troops of the government in your home. If you really wanted to reach, but no, it's going to be a policy of YouTube that everything is going to be restricted unless you verify your ID with them, and they look like they're going to be using a company called Yoti, YOTI, that is a digital verifier ID program that a lot of the Europe uses because they use the OTI as part of their legislation as a verifier for things like crypto. So if you buy crypto or you mine crypto, then in order to be able to be a verified user and holder of crypto in Europe, you have to have a Yoti ID that's tied to your physical ID.
I have so many levels of hate on this. The British, it literally took less than 12 hours for the British Online Safety Act to go from we're going to protect kids from porn to silencing people's voices and censorship, government authoritarian censorship.
Yep.
Which is legal in England because they don't have a First Amendment. And it took less than 12 hours to do that. And they're doing that now. Go ahead.
Here's my take on this. Okay. Number one, YouTube's a private corporation. They're allowed to do whatever the hell they want. Okay. If they want to require these restrictions, that's fine. You don't have to use YouTube.
That's correct.
True.
Okay. Plain and simple. Now, the other side of me says that this being forced by any government agency to do this, and YouTube's doing this because as quote unquote compliance with English standards or whatever, so that they can continue to do business there. That is a violation of our basic human rights. Okay, and if you look at some of the human rights things that are out there, freedom of speech is one of those that is held in very high regard. The problem is a lot of people don't understand freedom of speech is exactly that. It's freedom of all speech, not just speech you like.
Right.
Okay, and that's where they are getting a lot of this stuff is, okay, well, we do allow people to speak their mind. No, you don't. Okay, you are limiting speech whenever you say you can't say this or you can't say that for whatever reason. I don't care what the hell the reason is. When you start limiting speech in any way, shape, or form, then you are violating the principle of free speech.
Yeah.
Okay, which in and of itself is a very authoritarian thing to do, especially when you are limiting speech of political opposition
And discourse in general. I mean, even passionate disagreements could be labeled as dissident discourse, and so you would be your freedom of expression even is going to be limited.
Mm-hmm.
Watching a Gene commercial with Sydney Sweeney is a violation because they're already saying that. I mean,
Right.
That's literally what we're talking about right now.
Well,
It's not
here,
political.
I actually saw this earlier. Let me find it again real quick. So, and this relates along this, okay? It's literally saying that if you like a picture that she is in wearing American Eagle jeans, you are a Nazi.
No, there's a bunch of TikToks saying that. There's a bunch of videos saying that. There's a bunch of progressive leftists that are saying that all over the place. No one stable in their mindset is saying that. It may be all over blue sky. Real people aren't saying that. But now I don't get to defend Sydney Sweeney, American Eagle, or just blue jeans in America or jeans in America, no matter how you want to spell them. I don't get to defend that anymore because YouTube decided that nobody gets to see anything unless you give away all of your personal information. Why? And how are they going to limit it? How does this apply for ABC News, CBS? Right now, right this second, YouTube is trying to plug The View and the mainstream news media, CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, so forth. They're trying to plug them hard. Does that mean that ABC News gets restricted? No one gets to see that or to see ABC News because there's age restrictions on them? Because they haven't got, if you don't have a Yokai account, you can't see ABC News? Is that what they're saying?
I'm sorry, I missed that. I was being talked to a next room.
I was saying, does this apply to ABC News? Does ABC News, if you're watching ABC News or CBS, mainstream news media, does that mean I'm now restricted out until I get a Yokai account or I can't see ABC News?
Those will be approved sources. So basically they're making a carve out for the mainstream media and controlled media.
So it's censorship. So it's absolutely, their carve out means censorship. We don't want you to listen to anyone else.
And then you couple that. So the UK already has this. Now you couple that with the Congress trying to pass the Kids Online Safety Act that's been reintroduced into the Senate and the House.
Okay, not that again.
and it is a similar bill as the Children Online Safety Act in the UK, with almost the same exact stipulations. They are going to try and stifle the conversation because they have nothing to add to it. They only have what they can do to fearmonger because they're not getting their way. Their way is they want us to be fighting each other to the point where we're not united in anything, so they can sweep in with a grand solution, which will eventually be total authoritarianism.
Well, they want to have the only voice in the conversation. Obey me. There's no one else to talk to. You only get to obey me. No one else is there. And they've been losing. Mainstream news media, traditional media has lost. Just like Democrats and progressives have lost. They've absolutely lost the public because they have been proven to be liars. They have been proven to be wrong over and over again. And it doesn't matter whether you like Trump or not, whether you like Republicans or conservatives or libertarians or not. It's just a fact that we have proven how the mainstream media has lied to people on purpose consistently. And we've seen it proven consistently for a decade now, if not. And we know it's been longer, but we've seen it consistently. And we've seen it in politics consistently for the last decade from the left every single time. Not to say Republicans, conservatives, libertarians are perfect. I'm not. But we've seen consistently the left is actively lying. And so people have given up on it. And now they're like, oh my God, our ideology is losing. Our guys are losing. We got to prop them up. Authoritarian time. This is so evil.
Yeah. I mean, so you're getting hit with that at the same time. They're getting desperate. They being the authoritarian sectors of our country are getting desperate because they can't hold on to the narrative power of what's happening. And they know that the minute we start seeing returns in the economy, when we start seeing returns in the improvement of our social structures and infrastructure because of the deportation of the illegals, they're sunk. They will never be able to gain back that kind of influence and power ever again. So they got to.
I don't know that they ever, but it would be harder. They'd lose even more face, yes. But I don't think they ever intend to let it get that far. I truly don't. They have been, there's a reason why they have been getting more draconian and making it more difficult for you to hear any other voice except the approved voice. They've been doing it for a long time. This is why it's so important to like, share, and subscribe, folks, because they've been coming after us for years now. And they've been telling you, they're telling the YouTube creators for years now, yeah, we're going to shut you down. We're going to make it harder for people to find you. We don't want you. They don't want us because we aren't the mainstream. We're not the leftist ideology, and they're pissed about that. They're pissed. It's really sad.
Well, it is sad. And they're also upset that Trump got a pretty stellar deal with the EU.
Yeah.
Literally opened up the EU market to the United States with no penalties. Okay. While anything coming from the EU has a 15% tariff on it. So
most things, not everything.
So basically what Trump is doing is he's putting the American products back on the world stage where they never should have left.
Yeah.
Okay. And people say, well, we're going to be paying more. We're going to be paying more. We're going to be paying more. We're going to be paying a fair amount for products that are manufactured here in the United States.
Right.
Well, they're not wrong. We will pay more for many products around the world. because we don't want you to buy anything from other countries in the world. We want you to buy American.
Right.
That's the whole point.
And
That's what tariff is
that
for.
in turn will actually boost our economy.
Yes.
And also increase wages here in the United States. That's what people don't understand. When we start producing more here in the United States, our whole economy rises.
Yeah.
Okay. When everything's manufactured overseas, our economy starts tanking.
I had this argument in March and April. I've covered this in March and April. On this program, my program, I've covered this half a dozen times already.
Right. But they keep, like I said, they keep going on and on about it. Okay. That's the only thing that they've been having any type of success with. And honestly, it's because people don't understand what's really going on. All they're looking at is that products from China are going to cost us more now.
Right.
Products from Venezuela is going to cost us more now. Products from Vietnam are going to cost us more now.
Yeah, but the thing is what they don't realize is a portion of that reason that what people don't realize is that the reason that those items used to be so cheap was because those countries did not trade fairly with the United States. They were able to subsidize those products. They were able to produce them at slave wages, if wages at all. Like in the case of China, they used political prisoners to build those things. They manipulate their own money markets, so their currency flip-flops, so it makes it cheaper for people to do business and buy products from the country. So there were a whole host of things that were going on in the background that made it so that it was not equal and fair trade. Now, people may say, well, nothing in the world is fair, and you're correct. However, when it comes to trade, you must be balanced in your trade. You must make it fair so that you get the appropriate exchange of goods and services between nations.
Well, here's the thing, okay? And this is, Democrats always say they're for the workers, they're for the workers, they're for the workers, they're for the workers.
Yeah, they're not.
Except when those workers are overseas. Okay? Because if they're truly for the workers, they would be looking at these tariffs as a means of telling these countries, start treating your workforce more fairly.
Yeah. No, they want these Democrats and a lot of these leftist authoritarians, they don't want to treat the worker fairly. They don't care about the worker. They want slaves. That's what they want, because they envision themselves at the head of a party that will treat them like nobility, and the rest of us will slave for them.
Well, ultimately, that's what undocumented workers are.
Right.
Okay. And ultimately, when you bring in illegal aliens into the United States, illegal immigrants into the United States, that is human trafficking.
Right.
Okay. Human trafficking is the largest source of slavery in the world.
Yep.
Okay. So they are literally continuing with their same 1800s philosophy.
And we're supposed to not own anything and enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
Something like that.
So I think the biggest thing is to keep your eyes peeled, folks. You in the audience, you know what's going on. You know you have a bad feeling about it. Keep an eye open. Look to your neighbors. Make sure that your family is good. If you're not on good terms with your family, maybe get that way if you can. If not, insulate yourselves. You know, go to the grocery store. Every time you go to the grocery store, buy 10% extra. Sort away. Get yourself the staples: rice, flour, sugar, salt, seasonings, because you don't want food to get boring. Do these things. And in times of crisis, whether it's a weather catastrophe or political Armageddon or World War III, you'll at least have something set aside that you can use to either eat yourself or barter or trade. That helps. Speaking of which, I have meatballs in the crock pot. One moment.
Now, the stuff that's happening today is really troubling, and people need to start realizing what's truly going on. Okay, and quit listening to the sound bites and start looking for themselves and apply their own critical thinking to it. Okay, because Democrats have literally pushed this narrative. Well, who's going to mow our lawns? Who's going to clean our houses?
Well, I had that conversation with somebody the other day, and I said, and I brought up construction work because that's one of them too. Well, who's going to build everything? I said, I remember a time when construction work was a blue collar job.
Yep.
Why is it no longer a blue collar job? Can you explain that to me? Well, because the American people didn't want to work it. I said, no, that's not why. They brought all the cheap labor over.
Right.
And they hired the American for the cheap labor.
Or they shipped most of their manufacturing and stuff overseas. Manufacturing was a blue collar job too. And even as I can remember in '94 asking my dad, why are all our businesses going overseas? Why are the important things where we make things leaving? Now I know it happened before that, but I can remember in '94 when Bush was like, we made this big deal and we're sending a lot of our companies overseas. They're just leaving. I'm like, people don't just leave. There's got to be a reason why they're leaving. You're right, Jack. The construction workers, the tradesmen. Why don't we have enough tradesmen anymore? Where are the plumbers? Where are the electricians?
A lot of that is been farmed out to illegal immigrants.
Right. But there were Americans that could do those jobs.
Oh, yeah.
And now there's not. They're very small in number.
Well, that's because the generation that can fill these jobs don't want to work. They want their free handout.
Yeah.
They'd rather go to school and learn about bunny foo-foo.
Well, I will say this though. I will say that there is a schism in Gen Z. There's there's a dichotomy in Gen Z where you've got one side of Gen Z that's leaning more conservative and traditional, and they're looking backwards at what worked, and they're looking at going and doing that. And then you have the other side of Gen Z, which is trying to continue on with this idea of, I don't know, girl bossing and mental illness, and it really is not going to work well with the other. So ultimately, I think what's going to wind up happening is you're going to see a mass depopulation of one ideology, and the other one is going to lean. That's going to be the one that's like more mentally ill and ill-equipped for the economy. And then the other side of it, where the Gen Zers are looking more towards what worked and doing that, they're going to start having families. And so within, I'd say probably the next 2 decades, you're probably going to see the leftist ideology become a fringe ideology, though very loud, will just be screaming into the void off to the side, because people so far have seen that it's not working. Nothing is working. Nobody can own anything, and nobody likes it. They want to have their Sydney Sweeney back. They want to have the American Gene Company back. They want to have the ability to buy a vehicle that's going to take them from point A to point B and look flashy while doing it. They're going to want to be able to own property again. They don't like this idea of having to live with mom and dad until they're 45 or when their parents finally pass away and they can inherit the house. They want to be able to get out there and do something. But it's still up to Gen X right now, who is in the up and coming next generation of politicians, to not screw themselves over and screw the rest of the subsequent generations with this pursuit of authoritarianism. We need to go back to liberty, because liberty is cool. It just means you have to be responsible.
Digital flames, no sound bites allowed is the name of his game. With a coffee in one hand and his puppy on his lap, cigarettes curling, smoking his political trap. Michael Vass roars through the screen, he flies, painting red and blue skies with his fiery cry. He's the world's watchdog, calling out the bluff. Right-wing swagger, but his heart's pretty tough. Republican dragon with his truthful slight, fights the battles unseen in the shadows of the night. From policy to passion, he breaks it all down, giving a voice to the voiceless, wearing his crown. Caffeine-fueled mornings, the smoke curls dance, Fluffy at his feet, giving life one more chance. Through algorithms and bias, he cuts straight and clear. Michael's roar echoes in the hemisphere. Michael Vass roars through the screen, he flies, painting red and blue skies with his fiery cry. He's the world's watchdog, calling out the bluff. Right-wing swagger, but his heart's pretty tough. No sound bites allowed is his ultimate creed. A dragon's perspective where facts are the seed, standing tall on his battlefield of thoughts, guarding the truth that others forgot. Michael Vass roars through the screen, he flies, painting red and blue skies with his fiery cry. He's the world's watchdog, calling out the bluff. Right-wing swagger, but his heart's pretty tough.